Hello, my name is Anna, and I thought of making the cake that doesn't have dairy products in it. And it's one of the really popular cakes that we used to eat in Croatia. It's a fast cake with plums. A normal recipe contains 2 eggs, sugar, oil, milk, flour, baking powder, vanilla sugar, and obviously plums, which we have here. So instead of all of these normal ingredients that normal people eat, me who is trying to stay away from all wheat and gluten and dairy and even eggs, I wanted to make a cake that can be still fantastic and enjoyable and sweet and everything that I want, apart from all these bad ingredients. So I did make a few times and it's really amazing. So I'm quickly going to show you just what I used instead of normal ingredients. Instead of eggs, you can use flaxseed, psyllium husks to bind the flours. I decided after about 9 months not eating eggs that frankly I want to eat eggs, so I went back to eggs. So I'm going to use eggs in this recipe. You don't have to, you can replace it. Sugar I replaced with stevia. Oil, normal oil. I didn't want to use sunflower oil, so you can just melt some plain coconut oil and use that. Or you can even try avocado oil because it's neutral. I have not tried it yet, so I don't know. Then you can have, instead of milk, coconut milk, believe it or not. I use that and it's fabulous. Flour. So I want to avoid all bad flours, and I'm following Dr. Gundry's recipe book, avoiding wheat, avoiding all, let me see what he said exactly with regards to flours. Okay, I don't have the exact description of what kind of flours to avoid, but I'm going to be using what he approves of, which is coconut flour and cassava flour. So this is a coarse, you can get fine, and as I said, coconut flour. You can use also almond flour and all sorts of other flours. And then baking powder, I'm using that. Vanilla sugar, and plums. So now what I'm doing is, I don't know if I can switch this to something else. So what I'm doing here is I've mixed in 2 eggs with stevia, and I've been mixing that for about 3 minutes. And when that is ready, I'm going to be adding flour in there. So there's about 2 eggs and 6 spoons of sugar, normal sugar, which you replace with 6 spoons of stevia because they're sort of half of what you normally need. Then 12 spoons of oil. I already said which oil I'm going to use. 12 spoons of milk. I'll use coconut milk. 16 spoons of flour, which is here. You're looking at that. 2 spoons of baking powder, which we have there. And vanilla sugar, 800 grams of plums. So first I'm going to be mixing the eggs with stevia. Then I'm going to be adding flour, baking powder and milk, and then I'm going to be putting this into this black little baking, let me just show it to you, it's sort of silicone-ish. I'm going to put some oil on top of this. I'm going to oil that, put all of this that is going to be a little bit fuller into here, and I'm going to add plums on top, and it's going to be put on for baking. So we have coconut oil, which is Sainsbury's coconut oil, which has a bit of sugar in there. I didn't know that I have sugar in there. So I froze my coconut milk because it goes off within 2 days, even in the fridge. So I freeze it and I defrost it when I want to use it. So this one I'm going to just make it liquid so I can use it in the recipe. I'm trying to put in a 20 seconds microwave to see what happens there. In the meantime, this is going to cool off a little bit. We're going to be putting this into our mass here. So I've mixed this 2 eggs and stevia until you get this frothy little thing. It'll never going to be like the one that you get with the normal sugar, which is really frothy and firmish, and you know, you can do stuff with it. But now I have to put in the oil, and I already said I'm going to be using coconut oil. So let's see what happened after 20 seconds. Alright, this is good enough. I'm going to just get the liquidy things. Okay. So I will need, let me just check the recipe, I think is 12 of these. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and I hope it's not hot because otherwise it'll fry my eggs, God forbid. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we have that. So let me just check what the recipe says. I don't really have the greatest memory for this. I always read the recipes. Okay, oil, and then I have to mix this again. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to come back to one. Now calls for 16 spoons of flour, so I'm going to use 8 of cassava and 8 of coconut in equal measure. And I'm going to put that in there. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this with one hand, which I'm trying to skillfully do. This is going to be a disaster because flour is going to be all over the place. And obviously I'm not recording anything because my hand is on the camera. I'm trying to invent something, but I don't have anything that's really helpful. So remember, this is just like a quick video about how to do this. Not really anything staged. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 of cassava. Lovely. And then 8 of the coconut flour. So before I used some other combinations. So 1, I added almond flour, but I didn't really like that. 2, 3, and a half, and a bit. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to mix these first before I chuck them into the eggs and oil. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add, let me see how many spoons of baking powder. 2 apparently. So I'm going to add 2. You can use gluten-free one. I just use normal one. So it's 1. Quite a bit, right? 2. And you just sort of, I mix it before I put it into anything else. And all of these are going to disappear, so you don't have to worry about anything. So nicely mixed. By the way, I use these normal ones. They're not good enough for our clothes, so I just use them to actually pin these in, as probably you're using too. Okay, so that's that. We're going to be putting this into the eggs. Now, recipe calls for a bit of like finesse into mixing these and then putting these one by one. Frankly, I can't be bothered. I usually just plonk it in there and I do that. So I'm going to do exactly that. Obviously, I can't hold the camera and do that in the same time. I need my other hand. So I'm going to go back to you once I pour this into it and mix it up a little bit. And then I'm going to add coconut. Let me see how many. 12 spoons of coconut milk. So hopefully I have enough. If I don't have some spare, so I'm going to put that in there all together. So first this and then that, and I'm going to mix it up and I'll start. something you're going to get after you do all of that. Okay, so now just a couple of more minutes of mixing, and I'm going to put this into oiled square baking tray, and then I'm going to put plums on top. So I put coconut oil in there, and I'm just oiling it because I like the cake to be easy to sort of cut inside the tray and to serve from the tray so it doesn't get stuck. I don't know if it would, but I want to make sure that it doesn't anyway. There we go. Okay, once that's done, I'm going to simply pour all of this in there and flatten it sort of. I'll have to use my other hand, so that was quickly just put in there. I'm just going to flatten it a little bit so it's flat. It's going to rise a little bit, you know, this is gluten-free, but it does have a baking powder. So we'll see how it works with this combination. Don't have to overdo it. I mean, there's going to be a ton of plums coming on top, as you know. Every little matters, I suppose. Right, so now the plums, there's about 800 grams in there. Don't worry if it looks too much, it really isn't. You know, once they start sort of baking, they sink in. You know, it's just really, really nice to have them, and they are amazing, really amazing. I mean, just the plums baked. So you try to sort of get them in there, so they sort of stick into the flour as much as you can, because it's nice to have them touching the flour. But if they don't, it's just not a big deal. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in to put the oven for 100, and because this is gluten-free flour, it's best to sort of, I can bake it right there. The original recipe calls for 180 because this is gluten-free flour. I think you know that you need to sort of bake it higher, so I'm going to bake it at convection at 200, a preheat 220, which is completely fine. Oops. Alright, start preheating. So I think this is recording, I'm not sure. So as you know, gluten-free flours work the best with the higher temperatures. You really have to make sure that when you're making breads or anything like that, the temperatures are higher than the normal temperatures that you would usually make your breads with or cakes with. So I baked this cake on 200, and that was completely fine, even better when it's higher temperature. So today it's going to be 200 again, and then I'm going to add the grill for the past, I think maybe last 5 minutes, so it gets a nice, so the plums get really caramelized at the end. So then I'm going to put the vanilla sugar at the end, and that's that. So I've said I'm going to smash a bit of walnuts and put them in the actual flour dough, and I completely forgot because I was trying to record and talk and do the recipe, so I've forgotten. So what I did, I just sort of added them at the top, so I hope that's going to be completely fine, and you can improvise whatever you like. So now I'm warming up the oven, microwave oven, which is amazing, absolutely amazing, this one. Once it reaches the temperature of 220, I'm going to plonk this cake in there for 30 minutes on this temperature, and then I'll see how it went, and I'll show you. I just want to show you the cake. I don't know if you can see it. I put it up for grilling because I think it will look even more delicious once it's grilled. It's actually completely done after 30 minutes at 200. I just wanted it to be a little bit more crispier. So another 3 minutes and I'll show you the finished product. Yum! Okay, so this is the finished product. You can see it's still smoking from the grill. I think I overdid it on 5 minutes to burn. So I think it's burnt a little bit on top. But I know many people here in the household who like a bit of a burn. So but mostly it's caramelized and it looks really yummy. So I think we're going to, I'm really curious to try it. I don't want to touch it. Usually when you touch it here and pull it, you can see, you know, how the cake looks like on the side, which I'm going to do now to show you how it looks like. I put it outside because there was a lot of smoke from the occasional thing that burned. So, you know, if you put on, so this is how it looks like inside. It's really nice and yummy. Oh, this is going to be amazing. And with this, you can also use a bit of a coconut cream.